Hello everyone, Charles Watts here, the Arsenal correspondent at Goal, joining you just after Arsenal's 1-0 victory here at the Amex. Back-to-back wins in the Premier League for Arsenal. Seemed a long time ago that we could talk about something like that, but that's what's happened. It's been a very good few days for Mikel Arteta and his side. The league table is starting to look a hell of a lot nicer than it did. It's not looking great still, they're still 13th, but signs of genuine improvement after the last few days. They really needed to back up that win against Chelsea on Boxing Day with another one here tonight, and they did it. They weren't fantastic by any means, especially in the first half, and in fact they were awful. It was a really poor first half. I think they had just one shot on goal in that first 45 minutes, and that was a free kick from Granit Xhaka, so nothing from open play at all. Brighton very much on top. Weren't great themselves, Brighton. I wouldn't say they absolutely deserved to go in leading at half-time. Probably not. I think a draw, a 0-0 was fair enough at half-time, but Arsenal really needed to improve in the second half, and they did that. They were miles better in the second half. Sort of looking at the stats here, they had one shot, like I said, in the first half. They had 10 in the second. Brighton only had 5. It was all Arsenal. From the first few minutes of the second half, you could just see the intent was different, the movement was different, the players were moving the ball quickly. Saka and Smith Rowe began to run the show, and they had some really good chances. They didn't take how Aubameyang missed one brilliant breakaway by Arsenal. Saka crossing from the left, and it looked a certain goal for Aubameyang, but somehow Sanchez kept it out. I haven't actually seen a replay because we've got no video. We've got no screens up here in the stands, so I haven't seen a replay to see if it was actually a really bad miss or just a brilliant save by Aubameyang. But it was point blank. You thought it was a certain goal. When that missed, and then Aubameyang missed another chance which he put well wide after that, and you started to worry, are Arsenal going to regret this, and they're not going to be clinical enough to get the 3 points? But they did it thanks to Alexander Lacazette. 21 seconds after coming off the substitute bench, he got the winner. It was a brilliant finish from Lacazette, but it was all down to that man, Bukayo Saka. Fabulous run down the right-hand side, drove into the box, picked out Lacazette, who took a touch and put it past Sanchez to make it 1-0. And Arsenal thoroughly deserved to win in the end. Like I said, they were miles better in the second half, and they're just heading into 2021 looking in such a much better position now than they did just a few weeks ago. You think back to that Everton game and the defeat, the manner of the performance, and they were heading into Christmas in crisis, but now they're heading into 2021 looking positive and only 6 points off the top 6. I mean, Chelsea are only 6 points ahead of Arsenal now, so the season's suddenly looking salvageable, and they go to West Brom on January the 2nd. West Brom got thumped again today at home by Leeds, and if Arsenal can get the win there, can get another 3 points, the way this season's going, they could pretty much head into the return to the Premier League after the FA Cup only a few points off the top 6, and suddenly things are looking a hell of a lot better. So it's just such a strange season, look, isn't it? It's far too early to say that Arsenal are back and they're heading in the right direction, but things are certainly looking an awful lot nicer than they did just a few days ago. And you kind of look at the blueprint that Arteta sort of, I don't know if I want to say stumbled upon, that's perhaps a little bit unfair, but it's taken him a while to get to this. I think a lot of us have been calling for it with that more energetic, youthful front three of Saka, Smith Rowe and Martinelli, and they just look so much better as an attacking force. And I thought Aubameyang struggled today. He wasn't great in the first half. He wasn't great, but the service they were getting, the attacking, the front four was so isolated. Like that first half just summed up the problems Arsenal have got in central midfield when Thomas Partey isn't available. For Elneny was really poor. Xhaka wasn't great, and everything was going backwards and sideways. And the forwards were making runs. They weren't getting picked out. And you do that for half an hour or so, and you constantly aren't getting picked out. Then your heads are going to drop, and you're going to stop making those runs. So I could understand why they looked really frustrated, the front four, towards the end of that first half. But like I said, there was a completely different intent about Arsenal after the break, and they came out and they looked so much better. And Mikel Arteta admitted it just now in his press conference. He said that he admitted the first half wasn't good enough, but the second half they got things right. They moved the ball quickly. They found the pockets of space in the front four, and they exploited that well. And he was a very happy man, as you can expect. It's been a really difficult few weeks for Mikel Arteta, but just seeing him there in his press conference, you can just tell there's a big weight being lifted off his shoulders, and he's beginning to see the positive signs. And you think with Thomas Partey to come back, potentially not at West Brom, but after that against Newcastle in the FA Cup, and you add Thomas Partey to this mix, and although he's going to shore things up in midfield and tighten things up defensively, he's also going to add an awful lot going forward, and suddenly Arsenal are going to look a much better attacking prospect. when he's back in the side, and that's going to improve things even further. Fair play to Lacazette today, getting his goal. He's a top scorer now for Arsenal this season. 3 goals in 3 games for him, and he had a sore back. That's why he didn't start today. Mikel Arteta's just said in his press conference, and would he have started anyway? Perhaps not with Aubameyang's return, but he's certainly stepping up when his team needs him at the moment, Lacazette. So fair play to him for that. Right, let's run through some player ratings, shall we? It's a weird one because it's a victory for Arsenal today, but not going to be too high, barring a couple, because no one was absolutely fantastic. I touched on it there. Certainly the first half performance wasn't quite good enough for Arsenal. Elneny, I thought, did really well. He made all the saves he needed to. He did well with crosses coming in. He claimed everything. Was not great with his distribution, especially in the first half again when a few of his attempted quick passes didn't find his man. But I thought Leno had a decent game. I'm going to give him a 7. I thought the 2 centre backs were good. Rob Holding again with an impressive performance, and I continue to like what I see from Pablo Mari. I thought he had an impressive game. I thought those two dealt with pretty much everything that came their way, barring a couple of nervy moments. One at the beginning of the second half from a set piece when Arsenal looked a bit all over the shop, and they just about got away with one, and one towards the end of the first half as well when Arsenal were under a little bit of pressure. But other than that, I thought those two did well. I'm going to give them both a 7. I thought Bellerin struggled in the first half, and I thought Tierney, it wasn't his best performance at all from Tierney. He's allowed an off day. He's been one of Arsenal's best players this season, but I didn't think either fullback played particularly well. Bellerin came into it a little bit in the second half, but I'm going to give those two a 6. As I said, Elneny I thought was really, really poor, especially in the first half. He was dreadful. I thought in the first half he was constantly giving the ball away. Nearly played Arsenal into trouble a couple of times. Just always seems to not pass the ball forwards when there's a run on from the forwards. Instead taking the easy route and passing the ball backwards or sideways, and just not good enough for me for this Arsenal team. And I think Thomas Partey return is going to make Arsenal so much better. I'm going to give Elneny I'll give him a 5. Granit Xhaka I'm going to give a 6. Was slightly better than Elneny I thought, but still not particularly great. I think both of those players can going to be under real pressure when Partey comes back, and he's certainly going to replace one of them. Whether it be Xhaka or Elneny, we'll have to wait and see. I mean, you could potentially be Xhaka, because Elneny and Partey formed that very good partnership at Old Trafford in the win at Manchester United before Partey got injured. But neither of them great today. So Xhaka a 6, Elneny a 5. Martinelli, a little bit quiet for Martinelli. He didn't make it in the first the whole way through the game. He was replaced in the second half. Mikel Arteta said in the press conference that was always going to happen. They knew they weren't going to get 90 minutes out of him. He pressed as he always does. Didn't really have any sniffs of goal, Martinelli. So not his standout performance. But again, he's only just coming back from injury. You can't expect too much from him. So I'm going to give Gabby a 6. Thought Smith Rowe played really well in that second half. Really started to find the pockets and started causing Brighton all sorts of problems. Him and Saka were by far and away Arsenal's most dangerous men in that second half, and linked up really well. So I'm going to give Smith Rowe a 7. I'm going to give Bukayo Saka man of the match for me. He gets an 8 as a man of the match. Just that, particularly that run down the right that led to Lacazette's goal, was worth 1.5 marks on its own. He was really, really good. He went off injured, but Mikel Arteta saying afterwards in the press conference that it hopefully wasn't too bad. It was a bit of a nasty. He took a big whack from a tackle. He limped off the pitch, but Mikel Arteta hopeful that it's nothing serious with Saka. So he gets an 8. Aubameyang I thought was pretty poor, to be honest. He had a couple of chances in that second half. One of which he certainly should have scored, didn't. The other one went well wide. So I'm going to give Aubameyang a 6. The subs I can't really give too many marks for. Maitland-Niles came on right at the end, so I'm not going to give him anything. Dani Ceballos again came on for about the last 15-10 minutes. Can't really give him a mark. I'm going to give Lacazette a 7 because he did exactly what he needed to do when he came off the pitch. He got the winner. Really good finish, and continues a good form that he's on. So I'm going to give Lacazette a 7 for that. Right, thank you very much for watching, everyone. I will be back on do another one tomorrow morning, looking at this in a lot more depth and looking at what Mikel Arteta had to say in his press conference as well. So until then, I shall speak to you soon. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Enjoy back-to-back Arsenal wins, and I'll speak to you very, very soon. Bye-bye.